as far as I can see, most of the people are on the webinar at the moment. So I think we should get it going. So everybody is busy.
Yes. Okay. Thank you everybody for coming and logging on in and checking out our webinar. This webinar is the Impact Reduction 16 Rough and Fine Planning Workflow. Presenting it to you today is me, Kristofer Hellman, working with technical support and development, and you?
Yeah, I'm Thomas. I'm the business development manager for the sales team. And as you can see, both of us are structural engineers, and we're very happy to be here with you and present you that webinar today about impact production and the new features in Impact 16.
Or indeed. So for the agenda today, we'll talk to you about the background, a little bit about the impact workflow. Then we're going to do a demo, and the demo is going to be heavy on Project Manager and also our mobile application, which is for mobile and tabs, the Impact Go. And we're also going to include some bits for the Resource Manager. Then we're going to talk to you about some of the conclusions that we found. We're going to have a very short question and answers session, and then we have a little bit of a teaser of more to come after this webinar. All right, so the background and the impact workflow. So basically, try to see yourself that you are visualizing a structure, a building that is finished. So how did it get there? Well, somebody had to do, I guess, some planning in the beginning to make a plan for this building. They had to make a plan how to erect it. They had to make a plan how to get the elements onto the building site. They had to transport them. They also had to make the elements themselves before transporting them in the factory. And before making the elements, hopefully they had drawings that described how they were going to make the elements. So this is basically the planning phase, and the perform phase, as we see it, is on the other direction. So then you have your drawing, hopefully, you cast your element, you transport your element, you erect your element on site, and there you have the building that we talked about. So in Impact, we have plan dates and actual dates. What we call is we call it rough planning, which are the dates that you plan early on, and we have fine plan dates. That is to say, for example, the date when the drawing actually was there, when the cost was actually made, or when the transport was actually done, or when the building was actually erected. So 2 parts there, rough planning, fine planning. Anything to add, Thomas?
Yeah, just think of it like when we plan something, we go backwards of the actual construction phase when we rough plan something, or at least how we call it. But then the performing phase, as you showed before in the previous graph, is the real process from drawing to production to transportation to the site. And that is what the basic principle of impact production is built on.
Yep. All right, so we're going to do a demo for you guys, and we hope that you will enjoy it. As I said before, there are 3 softwares included here. The Project Manager, where we start off with, the Resource Manager, and the Impact Go. So for you who don't know, the Project Manager is the project managing tool. Here you manage a single project, and the Resource Manager, well, here you manage your resources. So for example, you manage your factory, your casting beds, your setups of your divisions, all these things. And the glue, as Thomas said when we practiced this, to go in between these different applications is the Impact Go, or the our mobile application, actually. Enough of that. Exactly. Let's go straight into the demo. So some of you might actually have seen this before. This is the building that we use for the first design course in AutoCAD anyway. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the first floor. As you can see already now, the status is that it's red, so it's ready for production, which means that we have drawings when we can plan it and we can produce it. Nevertheless, what we're going to start off with is to do the erection planning. So what you have to do is start the project manager, make sure that you have your module, that's the erection planning module, it's lit up here. And then you select the erection planning model down here. And then comes the work, which is not so very stressful actually. My first floor here, I expand, I take a look, I have my sandwich walls.
If you double click on the sandwich walls, of course the sandwich walls are going to be isolated, so you can do your job pretty much easily.
Exactly. So I select them in the order which I want to erect these walls. And take a look. I add the elements, and as you can see here, this was my first erection planning for this project. So the first number for this planning phase will be 1, and the number of elements that we're going to plan are 20. So actually, we can just add these elements to our erection planning.
And then apply, of course. So the database, it's saved in the database.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you very much,
Kristofer.
So
the good part about is you can just do the erection planning, and you can focus on selecting the elements on the correct order. And I can speak a little bit more about it and say that the good fact about erection planning, and a lot of you will say that, okay, maybe we don't have the erection planning beforehand, so what can we do? As you can see, it is very, very easy to change the erection sequence later on. And one of the biggest advantages of the erection planning is that you can get an overview of how you want things on the construction site. So if you are a structured person like me and Kristofer, this is a very good functionality when you are working as a project manager.
Exactly. And now we're adding the TTs here, or the hollow cores. And then we're going to do the pre-stressed slabs. And here you can do the shift functionality like this, and you get the little ability to have a little arrow that you can shoot straight with when you want to add.
Instead of selecting each one every time, the arrow functionality is actually pretty cool.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, if you have a row of, say, 60 hollow cores, then it really comes into play.
You have to add them first.
Sorry, man. All right. So this is basically it. Let's go in and look at floor 1 again. And let's select erection. So now we can verify, look in all the nooks and crannies of this building, twist it, turn it, see what, sorry, we're going in. And we can actually visually get a verification that this floor that we wanted to plan, that we have actually added it to the sequence. So maybe we want to have a look at the actual, how it looks. And then we can use the simulate. This is also in the modules, so you got to make sure that you have turned the simulate model on. And then we just play.
Yep. You can see it goes fast now, but also this is a very nice function to show to your stakeholders, to the contractors, and give them an idea of how you would like the building to be erected through the process. And again, this is very easily fixable, and you can get ideas from the different stakeholders and make it according to your own idea.
Exactly. So now we did the first step was the erection planning. We looked at it. We think that, well, that looks pretty good. We think that we could make the building like this. So the next step for us would be to do some more rough planning. Now in Impact, you have the element ID grid. And in the grid itself, you have grid presets. Now when you get the software out of the box, you have 4 presets. You can also make your own presets, move these around, and then just save them, and you can share them also. But I think we're going to do a demo with one of the ones that are included, so you can try this for yourself. So this is the rough planning.
And what I wanted to say here a little bit is that we are doing the planning, the rough planning from the element IDs tab, because in the software we have two different ways of marking an element. The element marks, as Kristofer is showing you now, but the element marks can be multiple during the project. You can have a multiple number of element marks for the same element, but in the element IDs, it's unique for every element. And that's why when we're talking about unique elements, we need to do the planning for each element separately.
Exactly.
And yeah.
So we're going to start off with the planned erection date in our case. So we mark that column. Such. And then we go into planning. Then we go into set date. And I guess we have to
Let's set a date a little bit in the future. This is the 4th of May.
It's okay. I mean, we're fast. We can do it.
Of course we can. Not with the coronavirus now though, but we'll try.
But before that it is erected, I guess that it needs to be delivered to the site. So we set the delivery date, and you could do actually the same way there. You can just set the date, but you can also use the functionality to use another set date. Like here, we're going to change the planned delivery date using planned erection date, which we already have set. And in this case, well, we hope that when we get it outside, that the crane can just pick it off from the inloader and just put it in the building.
Exactly. And of course, you will probably think now it's not realistic to put 100 elements in the same day to be delivered and erected. But of course, for this demo, we are going to use one date, because you can set different dates for the erection date and the delivery dates, and then you can go backwards from that date.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're going to set the planned production date, and we're going to use the planned delivery date or the erection date.
Or the erection date is the last one. The planned erection date is the last one. Yes.
But let's say that we want to produce it 10 days before.
That is not actually 10 days. It's, as we said, it's the software. It takes working days, and we have said in our database that 10 days means 14 days basically without the weekends. So
if you're not working Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah, of course. There is also the possibility.
You can set that up. We don't decide. We don't judge.
We don't decide. No, not at all.
So
and then we put the drawing date.
Hopefully 3 days before. We have to produce them.
That's never the case, but at least
You
we
can
say.
always dream. You can always dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
In
dreamer.
in a better world maybe, but not in our world.
All right.
Super.
So to recap what we did the erection. We took a quick look at the simulate, which shows you your erection in the model view. We did set the date for this planned erection date, and then from this date we set the delivery date, the planned production date, and the planned drawing date. Now for this webinar, we're not going to show you the storage things, so we're not going to set that date. This is for a later webinar. But what we can show you is the follow-up. Yeah, so you can see here we have planned drawing date, planned production date, planned delivery date, planned erection date, and we go up here, for example, for here. So this was delivery and erection. And we go back here, we have production, and there's our drawing. And also here you can follow what I mean in the status summary, what's happening with the project. I mean, here we can see that we have 8 elements that are not ready for production, and we have 68 elements that are ready for production. This is from the selected elements that we have. Yeah, the ones that
a lot of times I get the question, okay, I set the planned draft dates, and do I get a warning, or do I get a warning that I'm exceeding the drawing date, so I can go to my guys and say that, okay, we need to have those drawings by tomorrow? And yes, this is the tab where you can actually see your warnings and what dates are exceeding the actual dates.
Right.
It's the follow-up tab.
And we'll also show you the summary. So this is also where we can see that we have selected 62 different elements marks on this project. So you can get like cost volumes, what you put in, some weights, some areas. Yeah, if you put in some isolation, you can also see, okay, we have 21 cubic meters of isolation in our sandwich walls.
Yes.
All right.
It's nice to get an overview of your project, a rough estimation of how much concrete you are going to use. And of course, this is per project. In the resource manager, you can see that per factory or for your whole business, if you're having multiple factories.
Yeah. So perfect. Let's go back to the model view and have a look at the first floor. So we're going to do some cost planning. I'm just going to take some of these sandwich walls, I think. Select them all. I'm on the 20th here. Now I could drag and drop them, but I would use this functionality. So here you can see I can select which cost units that I want to use. Maybe I want to reserve these 5 or 6 for another project. So then I only select these. In what order do I want to cost it? Well, I want to use the erection sequence. Yes, and I can also control the alignment. I'm using both here, so it can be up any side of the table actually. Otherwise, it can be lower, upper. You can also have unrestricted, and then it can put it wherever it fits. And you can see here that we were in this day in the calendar when we did the auto planning. So that's the date that shows up here for the production date. Yeah.
Great.
So let's take a look at those in the detail view. That's interesting. So we have a lot of walls here. But now I want to move this one to the next day. How can I do that? Well, there's actually a new functionality here, and that is, we call it multiple days. So you can add here up to 15 days. For demonstration purposes, I'm only going to show you with 3 days. And then you can either have nothing selected here, and then it would show 3 days for all of your cost unit under that. But
or you can just select only one, like the P2 here, or the P1 and the P2.
Yeah,
so you can just see only for the elements that you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now we can check out here that we have the same here, the 20th, which was the day we were aiming for, but then I wanted to move this to the next day in a simple way and be able to like move it around and put it wherever I want it.
Exactly. And that is a very good functionality if your beds are filled for the next 10 days and you have a rejection or a disorder that we're going to talk about later, then you can actually move the elements way easier than doing it from the calendar view.
Exactly. And also you can straight out now, you can open up inside our internal viewer the blueprint. Maybe there's something that you wanted to check on that wall that you had to replan. Maybe there was a reason for the replan and you wanted to check the drawing again. So it's very easy. You just right click it, open the drawing. You can actually even open the DVG straight into AutoCAD or the PDF, and you can get it in your internal. And you can even select the different
layouts.
Yeah.
That is just great.
Yes, I think so.
So this is a table. Are you going to show us a little bit about the bed when we have a bed of holocores? So you can plan us some holocores also. You can see some differences.
Yeah. Take it easy, take it easy. It's coming. Okay. So here are some holocore beds here. Let's look at the detail view. Bear with me. I'll double click on this one. 20-second. So I have made one bed here, which is just for holocores, and this one that is for TTs. So let's take our holocores for this floor. We go into holocores, double click them, then we can just like this. Sorry guys.
No worries. We're just getting a little bit dizzy.
Yeah. So I put down the holocores, and I can of course do the same thing with my TTs. Just put them straight down here.
Great. You just drag and drop them, right?
Yeah, drag and drop them. Of course, you can use AutoCAD functionality, but the dragging and dropping is also very good, and especially powerful now that you can do both the drag and drop here, and then you can add your multiple days, and you can move elements around between beds and tables. I think that yeah, exactly. It's really a powerful functionality.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's have a look at the next thing that we wanted to do was, of course, to show you the glue. And there are different ways of doing this, but I think that a good way to start with this is to show you how you can log into the phone. So to get this on my screen, we're using TeamViewer. I'm in Lund in Sweden, And Thomas, you're in?
I'm in Denmark, in Hobro, in my
Hobro.
home. Yes,
Oh,
because I cannot work at the office. So you can see my phone now. You can see Thomas G
and
phone,
the thing that Thomas has done is he just went into the
mobile app.
to the Google Store and just installed the Impact Go.
Exactly.
And then he has to know his company ID and of course his mobile secret. But then maybe he's working together with someone at the office and he doesn't want to put in all of these very lengthy connection details. So what you can do there is that you go into the Server Connect application and you generate a QR code.
Yeah.
And
And now
then
if I press on
Thomas
scan,
will show you.
you will see my computers. You see my other screen. I just got the QR code, and you see that the OpenID and the Web API information got filled automatically.
Yeah.
I will say login, and the next thing I have to do is to add my name, of course, and my password. For those who cannot see it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's because I'm not very clever, so I want to keep it simple. And also I don't have anything to hide, so you can log in as me if you want to our cloud database. No problem at all. Now, as you can see on the right side, on the right screen of, yeah, you can use the single element if you want to. That's fine. Yeah.
All right.
So as you can see
So
on the right screen.
I'm going to print an element label here.
Yeah, exactly. And you see the mobile app a little bit on the right, you can see it's just pretty empty. There are only two options to find something or to scan a QR code. And I always prefer to scan a QR code. So I will select the QR code that I'm seeing here. And I can see that I have the element ID, the mark. You see, I'll select it now, and the status, which is produced. Again, if you go to the project manager and you change your element column from Erection to status, you will see the status color for all the elements. And maybe it would be nice to see live for the walls. Yeah, exactly. It's the SW109. Yes, perfect. Probably we'll figure it out. So for now, what I want to show you is that we have that element on the bed. I open the I, which is the information, and you can see here, nice and slow, all the information from the database directly in the phone. Again, let's assume that I'm sitting on the factory. I am either a person who is going to do the controls or the person who is managing the factory. So on the bottom left, this blue tag, it's our new functionality called element control. For a reason, we didn't do it from the project manager, so we can show you how easy it is to do it from the mobile app. On the upper left, on the upper right part, you see there is a plus button. I say plus, and I have made different controls for my sandwich walls. You can have as many controls as you want, and all custom-made according to your needs. I will add the pre-production and the post-production control. I'll say add, and you see them here added here. When I select one of those and say select, and go to my simple checks, you will be able to see that I have three very simple checks. I'll check my custom materials, I'll check my formwork, and I check my drawings. Everything is perfect. Say save. I go back, say this, say save, and my control is saved. Go back, I'll press up. Maybe refresh. Kristofer can show you the refresh button if it's not very visible. It's right there. Yes. And you see that the element is triggered to a status 35. And when Kristofer refreshes the model, we will figure out also the SW109. You see it changed color.
Light blue. Light blue.
Exactly. So the status is changed to 35. Again, if you refresh the data on the CAS planning also, you will see that the color is going to change down there.
And now I'm the cost manager here of my factory, Kristofer Hellman factory. So I'm very happy now with this check. So and because it's a pre-check, and so I'm gonna set it to I'm gonna produce it. It's been produced. Bam.
Color change to green. I'm going to refresh it on my app, and my
Status color
change to green also. This takes in real time 0 seconds. The moment that Kristofer is doing it and I refresh it, the element is going to show the new status. As you saw, I put a post-production control. You see on the cast calendar that there is a background red, and that is because we have set the element control colors to be set in the cast calendar. So maybe while I'm doing the post-production control, maybe Kristofer can show you how to put the settings on the calendar. You can see here. I think we need to refresh the team viewer because the team viewer needs to be refreshed. That's how it is.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's ready to go again.
Great.
No, we need to do it one more time. Bear with us a little bit. Team viewer is not the best to connect to the mobile phone. You can see my family at the same time. That's fine. And yeah, movement aside again. And I can show you that I select here the phone, go do my post-production control. And in my post-production control, you will see that I have put some tolerances, and I can measure the actual values of the length, width, and height, and some more values that I want to. And now I'll say that this is this. I say this is 345 or 341, and the actual is like 2690.
Good work.
And I'll put that. Yeah,
Don't
it seems
forget
pretty.
that. Yeah, you
pretty
seem
close,
pretty good at this.
pretty close. And the diagonal.
Making the elements.
Yeah. So, I
Checkboxes.
dreamt of being a production manager or working in a factory.
Yeah, dream on.
And I have I know I was not built for that. And I have a simple check, color, select the color also that it is my nice gray, perfect finish. Post-production, save it, go back, and refresh my status. 45. If I go here in the mobile app one more time, I want to show you that the element control, you'll see the date, the time, and who performed the control, as you can see here. So that's the new functionality about element controls. And of course, now that you print and you refresh the data also in the cast planning, you will see that the background is going to begin to turn into green. Exactly.
Yes.
So the project manager now knows that everything is done, and me, I'm going to go here, and now that everything is done, I will select the map kind of icon and set it on a storage. I'll select storage 2 and store it there. You will see that it changed down there. The map location is number 2. I can always see the project, and the status changed to 48, which is on storage.
That's very good, Thomas.
Yeah.
But okay, so you can do controls. You can go, I mean, before or after, and maybe the controls fail. But what about things that happens like a bit outside the control system? For example, a total failure where an element has to be scrapped, or maybe something happens on the building site that we have to repair. What can you do with the app? What can you do with the app then?
As you can see now, I went to the properties of the same element, but maybe Kristofer can give me an element label of another element where I can actually.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Let's see. I go into that. We don't want that.
It's fine. You can choose whatever element you want to do planning. I have to warn you that most likely you need to log into TeamViewer again.
Well, maybe I can click there and get it going.
Perfect. And then
So
please make a login again to my TeamViewer, because every 2 minutes, for some weird reason, it restarts. Perfect. So for some of you maybe don't know, but I have an element from a previous time and I don't want to see it anymore. You just need to select it and just press the garbage bin on the top and just remove it from the list. So I have a clear screen again. I select my QR code, have status 40, produced, and then I say, okay, what happened here is that while I was transferring it for transportation, I come here, second issue, it fall off the crane and I just broke it. Or
what? Thomas? How could this happen? How could this happen? I
don't be
don't
so
understand.
dramatic. Don't be so dramatic. It was
Can I have
my
a
fault.
picture? Can I have a picture?
Yeah, you can have a picture.
Okay.
So I can say that it was broken. I can write it was broken. I can give you a deadline also, that
Thank
you need
you.
to fix it by the day after tomorrow.
I will.
Yes, I can give you a description of what happened, which was I broke it because I'm very powerful and strong.
Yes, you're a strong man.
I'll give you a reason, which is, let's say, transportation, but it's not the reality. It was me. Category, you can add a lot of different things in your database, of course, and then assign it to your project manager, which in this case is my friend Kristofer Hellman, admin.
The admin guy.
Yes, exactly.
So,
and because he wants a picture.
I want the picture. The picture is the most important thing.
The cost is 500 euros extra.
I want to see what you did to this element.
And the issue time is, of course, 8 hours of work again, because that's what happened. And then I'll take a picture and I'll say, you can see all of me. Hello.
It's this guy.
Yes.
That's the reason.
You can see, staying home, he's made my beard pretty big. And I'll say reject. And now it is assigned to you.
Thank you.
Back to you then. And then if I refresh here the data, say okay. Status is back to 20. Rejected.
Okay, and I can also see this in the detail cost too here.
Basically, you cannot touch it from the CAS planning because you have already used the material, the element is produced, but you can replan it from your model viewer now, if you would like to do that.
Oh, I would.
Yeah, so you can go down there and see that the status is back to 20. And
so I'm just going to move it to the next day.
It's the next bet, but yeah.
The next bet.
Perfect. If you go to the calendar view,
so if I am the one who is managing rejections, then I can go into my resource manager and I can have a look here. So I think
that is the element, I think.
That is the one. And if I go into edit here, I can see the reason here. It's a picture of the reason why it's broken. I can have a cost, I can issue time, also do a replan, and I have a deadline. Yeah, that is basically the worst case is when you have to reject an element.
Exactly.
But Thomas, what about the case when I don't have to reject? Maybe you did something, maybe not totally broke it, but you just nudged it a little
If you
bit.
go back to the, you cannot again. You need to log in one more time in TeamViewer.
Thank you.
So you can see my screen once again. I suppose TeamViewer is doing that for safety reasons, but allow, and back
We
to the
can only
mobile app.
speculate.
Yes. So if you give me one more element label that I can actually create a disorder on it, the principle is the same. You will be able to see. I'll take this one. I go again here. I will set it produced directly from here. So I go to this status and change my status, set status to produced, say set. And now the status is produced for this element. I go again and say issues, disorders, add a disorder, again, crack on the site, active, again, you need to add a reason, design reason, and I need to assign it to a person in my company. That person is Kristofer Hellman,
The
the
admin guy.
administrator. Yes, I can see that the cost, maybe it is 50 euros to fix it, and it
That's
may
good.
be 1 hour of work for one of my guys to do that. Say, of course, I can write the description again, but and you see that that it is active, the disorder, and now Kristofer can manage it from the factory.
Exactly, and you can also see if you would have it in the app. If we refresh that element,
Exactly.
you can also see this little warning triangle in the right corner, which says that, well, there's something going on here. So if we go into the resource manager, we have rejections and we have disorders. So active webinar 1, this should be the one.
Yes, I did another picture now, but I could have.
No picture, I mean, it should really go back, but when we have fixed it, then we can just resolve it like that. We can, so then the disorder is done.
Yeah, and then I can go back to the phone, see that my project manager, it's the status already changed to resolved automatically.
Yeah, so it's fixed, and everybody will be happy.
It's fixed. Yeah, and generally, what we didn't say is that you can add some notes. This is an extra field in the database where you can add some important information for some specific elements that you might have. It is up to you what you want to do. And of course, you can set for a whole bed set to production through your cast calendar reports. And generally, it's a very good idea to produce QR codes with your reports through the report tool, so you can actually fetch the information very fast into the mobile app. And yeah, you are very welcome to play around and see how easy the functionality is in order to work with the mobile app.
Yes, and we are very happy to answer any questions that you would have and help you getting started with the app.
Exactly. I'll close my phone now. We can go further with production planning.
All right. So, Thomas, you wanted to look a little bit into the workload?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to show a little bit of the data that we have and how it looks. Again, this is not a real factory, so the database is not good, but I think it's better if you show it by element count instead of time, because a lot of people maybe don't use cost estimation. So yeah, and then show the labels on top. And you see that the new functionality here is that we can separate between the fine plant elements and the rough plant elements. So you can see it per week, and you can keep control of your factory. And one more really nice feature that will come in the future is the tender quantities module. So you can create actually projects in tender and tender projects, and you can see without having to create the physical elements. So you can book capacity in your factories.
Exactly.
Exactly. And yeah, and of course we're going to make another webinar or some videos, tutorials for the new functionality regarding that. But yeah, this is easier to view.
Exactly. So I think, Thomas, now I just put this up, but that's basically it for the demo of the software. Can you hear me, Thomas? Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you. No, perfect.
Sorry. So we got to go to the conclusions, and I'm going to go through them pretty fast. So what we have shown you today, hopefully, is that real-time cooperation and information exchange between all of the stakeholders in your precast project. There is a continuous workflow, continuously updated through one single database. That's the impact database. That's the heart of your system. Also, you have full cloud integration, the possibility to integrate your system fully into the cloud. That is database integration, that is API integration on the server side, fully cloud-based. So you can work from anywhere where you have internet. And also, the last but not least, Thomas?
Yeah, it's the, you know, maybe we made it a little bit fun about the disorders and rejections, and this is something that everybody wants to avoid, but things happen, and it's better to keep control over it and identify a pattern most of it, because you are identifying it through the same database, so you get some data in the future going, and you know that a rejection might happen in the same place on the same factory, so you know that you may need to replace some machinery or you need to replace something in the factory. So it is a very, very good functionality to keep track of your rejections and the disorders and not just scrap them and move on forward to the next day and say like, let's remake the element. So yeah, and what we did today is the full cloud integration, that we have a database sitting in Germany, and we are working, me from Denmark and Kristofer from Sweden, from our home, with no connection through VPN, and we are actually working through the same database, me from my mobile phone and Kristofer from his computer. So
and the file server in Malmö. So it's
yeah,
all over the place. We're all over the world.
Yeah, for the file server, of course, we need VPN. So just to be honest about that, there needs to be a physical identification for the file server.
Sure. But there are cloud solutions, of course.
Yeah, there is also
if you want to,
yeah.
Okay, questions and answers. I guess we will not have all the answers, but yeah, we'll make sure to find out. Did you see, Thomas, if anyone was sending in questions?
Yeah, I have the questions on my other window open. I haven't got any questions yet. No.
No.
No. But they're asking me if I can send a notification via email through our software, and my answer to that, I think, is no for the time being. But it is a very, very good idea.
It's an interesting thought, of course.
Yeah.
We are always interested, I mean, in these kinds of improvement suggestions.
Exactly. Because there is there is functionality, and there is integration through mails, and of course you can log in into the database through your email. So I suppose this is something that we should look into doing and moving away from the mail. Yep.
Yeah.
And for the last part, before you all leave, I know you are very busy, and it's the next webinar that me and Kristofer are going to do in the end of April, hopefully, is going to be the 3D stack and transport module. As you can see in the picture, we have developed a whole new functionality in a transportation module. We avoided it on purpose today, even though we talked a little bit about it in the beginning, because we're going to use the same project, and we're going to show you the different options that we have developed in full 3D. You can now, and it's most likely is going to be given to everybody in the Q2 release in the end of May, and I cannot promise that. That's what I know until today. And we're going to go through the functionality of it
Exactly.
next month.
So if anyone feels that, well, we didn't get the opportunity to see stack planning or transport planning within the scope of rough and fine planning, well, there's your answer.
Yeah, exactly.
And as always, there's more information. We're constantly working on putting more information into our wiki, and the more you use it, the better it gets. And also, if you have suggestions or something that is missing, you're very welcome to drop us an email. And the address is the wiki.impact.strusoft.com.
Yeah.
Anything to add there, Thomas?
No. I was just thinking. A person asks us how much does the app cost. I mean, this is kind of part of the production purchase, so maybe I cannot give a specific amount, but it's not that you have one license or something. You can buy, 0 to 10 licenses for the beginning, then for a bigger size factory, 10 to 50, and then from 50 to 100, and then more than 100.
Yeah, it's not a very big cost, and
it's
Thomas
not a very big cost.
can mail Thomas, and he will get back to you with an exact quote.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking a little bit about the mail question, to be honest with you, and I was thinking a little bit more that maybe like the whole actual point of impact is to get away from the mail, and that's why I know people like to work and get the notifications on their emails, maybe on their phones, but I think the whole idea of impact is to move away from sending mails and share real time information through the same database. So yes, it is a good point if you want to work like that, but I think a lot of people would like to move away from the mail solution.
Yeah, but maybe we should add some functionality to our software.
For sure. We need to listen to our customers, and that's the only sure thing. I just need to address also the other opinion on moving away from the email, moving away from this kind of information flow.
Yeah.
So
I totally agree on that. I mean.
Yeah. Thank you very much for everybody attended. I hope you're keeping safe. We know it's difficult times out there, and we hope we entertain you a little bit and had some fun with us. And we're very happy to see you.
Very grateful to see that you wanted to attend, and really hope that you enjoyed the seminar. And if you have questions, please send them in, and we'll find out the answers, and we'll get back to you.